Hello, today we are going to talk about how to start programming, so developing for the KDE community. What is the KDE community and project? So it's kde.org. There is a wiki page. The canonical web page is kde.org. It's this application, which is a GUI shell for Unix, Linux, etc., which is called KDE Plasma Desktop, and a suite of applications such as the file manager, which is called Dolphin, and a system monitor tool similar to the task manager in Windows, a terminal application which is called console with an K, console with a K. Okay, this is called icons only task manager. This is a text editor which is called Kate. This is a orthodox file manager which is called Crusader, etc. So 400 applications and other libraries. Okay, partition manager, system log. Many applications. So all of these are developed in individual Git repositories. So there's more than 400 KDE Git repositories. Okay. So how do we start programming? So this is an open source free software project. Everybody is encouraged to start programming on one of the KDE Git repositories, fix issues, add new features, etc., etc. In a non-paid way, so not during your day job, but in your free time. You're contributing for free, not being paid, source code lines and Git commits to the KDE community. Okay, so founded in 1996 by Matthias Edrich with his famous email. Okay, where is that email? This is probably one. So October 1996, let's develop a new project, the cool desktop environment KDE. Motivation, there wasn't a desktop environment plus many of the important apps that were GUI apps for the Linux desktop in 1996 were coming from other operating systems, because Linux was just invented at the start of the 1990s, and the GUI applications that you could run on Linux were very different, were using 10 different toolkits. Control-C, the shortcut to copy, didn't work on all of these applications. Control-A, the select all shortcut, didn't work in all of these applications. Right-clicking in these applications did not start the context menu. So Matthias wanted to create re-implementations of the existing best GUI applications for Linux, which use the same GUI toolkit, in this case the Qt toolkit, that have all of the features of the existing best GUI applications, but work together cohesively and share the same keyboard shortcuts and use the mouse in the same way and resize in the same way and have the file save, file open dialogues which are the same, etc. So consistency. Okay. Else, this is the KDE desktop version 1, really similar to to something. So looks more like Windows 95 than the existing Unix desktops at that time, such as KDE. This thing. Okay. So let's decide that we want to invest weekly time to make sure that the KDE Git repositories improve over time. How do we do that? The first step to do is to read this Wikipedia page and to use a Linux distribution that has the KDE Plasma desktop. So I'm on Kubuntu 2204. You can install it in a virtual machine, you can run it in a live ISO, live CD mode, and then you will have to install on a hardware machine a Linux distribution that's new enough and that has the KDE desktop environment. So again, in my case, it's Kubuntu 2204. This is my hardware machine. My hardware machine is good enough because we're going to compile a ton of C++ code, so we'll need beefy CPUs, RAM, NVMe, etc. So a minimum setup for me is AMD's 5750 GE, which is a 35 watt TDP CPU, 8 cores, 16 threads. So it's really powerful for 35 watt TDP. And I have enough RAM. So I have 32 gigabytes of RAM. I have enough storage. I have a 2 terabyte NVMe PCIe 3 Samsung. Okay. So I have just one partition, which is called slash, which is 2 terabytes in size, really fast NVMe. I have enough memory, 16 CPU cores. And then you should, again, you should learn how to use the KDE Plasma Desktop and the KDE applications. Okay, some of the most important KDE applications that I use are, where did I write those? So console, Kate, Crusader, Spectacle, System Monitor, System Settings, Dolphin, Info Center, Help, Kcalc. So these apps are like this. Console is the terminal app. Kate is this thing, a text editor with syntax highlighting and other goodies for developers. Then Crusader is my file manager that I use, which is an orthodox file manager. Spectacle is for taking screenshots, so if you press print screen key, it will create a capture in the application Spectacle, which is this application. Okay. Then there's the System Monitor, System Settings. System Monitor is this thing, shows you the running processes, has this graph. You can sort processes descending by CPU usage. You can close, kill processes such as set signal kill. It will close or it will kill all of the processes, so all of the children of the process will be killed. So if you start a console, this is a terminal application. If you start a bash in there and another bash in there, you have in fact 3 processes. There's console, its first child is bash, and inside of that bash there's another child which is the second bash. So by killing console you also close the first child bash and the second child bash. Okay. So some of these will disappear when I close console. Okay, so just one bash is remaining. System settings, the settings application, this thing. Dolphin is the file manager, which is this thing. Info center is this application. Has some information about your system. There's help, which is this application. Has a table of contents. Has Unix man pages. Okay, most KDE applications have a help called handbook. So F1 inside of that application. So we're in Kate, we go help, Kate handbook, F1. It should open the Kate handbook, and it did. Okay. Kcalc is the calculator, the desktop calculator. Okay, how do I start applications? I press the Windows key. This opens the main menu, and then I write what I want. So if I want to start Kate, I write KA and press enter. So that's the Windows key. If you don't have a Windows key, then there's Alt F1. If you want something else, another launcher, that's Alt F2, which is called Keyrunner. Similar functionality. So I write Kate, I delete, and then I press enter. Okay. So this is you getting familiar with the KDE project and the KDE software. Okay. Then the next thing to do is to go to the official KDE website, which is kde.org, and in there's a get involved link in the main menu of the kde.org webpage. So it says that you can contribute to the KDE community in many ways, one of which is development. I click on development and says by becoming a developer you can affect people by writing source code, and that's going to be built as applications and libraries and used by millions of people. Okay, and if you keep programming for the KDE community for 2 hours per week for each and every week for years, you know, your skills will improve dramatically. You will be better at using bash, the command line shell, better at using KDE Plasma, better at configuring KDE Plasma, better at C++, better at CMake, Git, the Unix command line, Unix piping, Qt framework, QML, JavaScript, CSS. So your experience will increase dramatically, and in many areas of the programming universe. Okay, so find out more about becoming a KDE developer. Okay, and it says that there's a mentoring program. The mentoring program is presented here. I would also like you to reach out to me if you have questions or if you want guidance. So I am this guy. Okay, I have created YouTube videos for most of the problems that beginners that want to start programming for the KDE project encounter. Okay, in the GitLab instance of KDE, which is invent.kde.org, this is who I am. Okay, so I would want you to send me an email, and I am this guy, and mariusp1@gmail.com. Send me an email and I will, as much as I can, help you get starting programming for KDE. Okay. So your task now, because you have committed to working intensely for 2 hours per week for each week for years, your first task is to read this wiki page and its children pages. So the KDE community wiki, community.kde.org/get-involved/development wiki page, has children. So for instance, there's this page, which is, where are you? So it's /get-involved/development/IDE configuration. There's /get-involved/development/IDE configuration/Qt creator. So there are wiki pages that are children of other wiki pages. So the Qt creator wiki page is a child of the IDE configuration wiki page, which is the child of the development wiki page. So I'm talking about this page and its children. Okay. So developing on a virtual machine, etc. Okay, after you read all of these pages, the next thing to do is to set up your software development environment. So one time set up your development environment. Now, if you want to program for KDE, I vote that you should know C++, at least the turbo C++ variant that's taught in high schools. You should, I don't know, at least know how to program in C, in the C programming language, and then you will learn a bit of C++ in order to survive as a programmer for the KDE for the KDE community. So, but if you know a bit of C++, then the next task for you would be to refresh your C++ skills, to improve your C++ skills. So for that, my advice would be, Okay, so this is my YouTube account. So I have created a video about how to learn C++ or how to refresh your knowledge of the C programming language. So C being a mandatory step, learning the C programming language is a mandatory step if you want to learn the C++ programming language. So I have this YouTube video, Thinking in C++ in C by Bruce Eckel. This is a multimedia presentation seminary, and I'm walking you through this, and I'm telling you how you also should run through this multimedia seminar. So what I usually do is I download what I would do in your if I were in your shoes and I would want to learn this YouTube video, so I don't want you to just watch this YouTube video, I want you to do this YouTube video. So for that I would download this YouTube video. Okay, so this is the command line that I use. I use yt-dlp. So it's 500 megabytes of a YouTube video, 4 hours and a half. Really useful to download it once, such that you don't use the YouTube's bandwidth a ton of times when you scroll, when you reopen the video, etc. So you download it once, and then you open it with a competent media player such as SM Player or MPV, and then you can scroll in that in the timeline of the video however you want. It will not cost you any bandwidth, and scrolling will be instant. Okay, so I double click on this thing. Hello, today we are I tell it to shut up, so I press the M button, which is mute. This is called the OSD. This is SM Player. In SM Player I went right click and video compact mode. So this is how SM Player looks by default. So you can go right click, video, compact mode to hide all of the Chrome, all of the SM Player main menu bar, SM Player taskbar, SM Player status bar, etc. Such that just the content exists in the SM Player window. Okay, so right click video compact, right click video compact. Okay, this is called the OSD on screen display. I want to hide it with the letter O. You should search on the internet the shortcuts that SM Player understands. So SM Player shortcuts. So space to play pause, greater than next in playlist, less than previous in playlist. Well, I don't know what these things are. I don't use this. I don't use this. Oh, to switch to toggle the on-screen display level. Okay. Saturation, I don't use this. Okay. I don't use these. I don't use this. M to mute I use. Volume up, volume down 9 and 0. Yes, I do use them. Left and right 10 seconds backward I use. Up and down arrow keys 1 minute backward forward I use. Page up, page down 10 minutes backward, 10 minutes forward I use. Okay. What else? Full screen F, the F key. And that's it. Okay, so now you know everything about SM Player and MPV. So we play with pause with the space bar, the space key. We play and pause. Okay. So I dock this window, the SM Player, to use the right half of the screen. Your screen should have at least 1080p resolution. So what's 1080p? Is 1920 by 1080 pixels. And in my experience, 1080p is I can use 1080p resolution on 15-inch laptops and up. So I can't use 1080p on 14-inch laptops or on 13-inch laptops. That's the way my eyes work. So I currently use a 32-inch monitor with 1440p. But the minimorum for programmers should be 1080p and at least 15-inch laptop, or I don't know, 22-inch desktop monitor. Okay. So in the right hand side of the screen, I have something happens, right? Which I call doc or documentation. In the right hand side of the screen, I do exactly what's shown in there. So what does it say? I should I should be on Windows, right? Okay, so I'm starting my Windows virtual machine. This thing. Okay. And then it says you should connect to your Windows virtual machine. Okay, how do I do that? Well, the way I do it. I have a video for this thing. So I have this network interface card 215. I start console, Control R 215, enter, I put my password. Okay, the resolution is too giant. Let's make it way smaller. So we want width to be half of this. So this is 1880. So should be half. That's 8. That's 4, and 18 is 9. And this is too much. That should be 40, like this. Okay. So I put this window on the left-hand side of the screen. On the right-hand side of the screen, I have the tutorial, and it says, I don't know, what does it say? I do not know. It says that I should have Firefox installed. Do I have it? Yes, I do have it. Right-click, open a new private window. Okay, next. I should say archive thinking in C. I do that. Archive thinking in C. Okay. It says, what else? That there's a first result, which is the best result, which is archive.org/details/thinking in C. Okay. What else? So it's a multimedia seminar. I hear what the video says. I see that it's by Bruce Eckel, which is the original writer, the author of this book. And then there is a zip file. Okay, I click on the zip file. Okay, then it says, yeah, I should save this thing somewhere. So let's make it, let me save it somewhere. Save. Okay. Okay, then I need to search on the internet something else. Let me search. So archive, flash player standalone. Okay, I press space to stop the video until I reach with what I'm doing, what the documentation says. Okay, this thing. Okay, what else? I press the space key to resume the video playback. I need to find the Windows executable. I click on it. I need to save it somewhere. Save. Okay, I need double commander. Do I have double commander? I don't know. I don't. Let me get double commander. Okay, so the English page. What can I do? Where is the download button? This thing, download. Okay, I accept. Windows Portable 64-bit this thing. Okay. I download it in the... Where are you? Didn't start downloading. Now it did. So I downloaded it in c5b601fb, this thing. Okay. Then I extract it there. Then I can run it. c5b601 double commander. Okay. So now I have caught up with the documentation. Maximize this window. Let's see what it does. So it says daily, okay, and I go there. I don't have a cwork file. Okay, let's make one. Okay, daily, F7 daily. Okay, F7 2022, F7 Q4, Shift F6 Q4. Okay, F7, what day is today? 10/15. Okay, it creates the new directory. Great. And what does it do? Open the book. Open the book. Where is open the book? This thing. Cut, right? Both. Cut both. Or copy. Control V. Okay. So I'm following exactly what the tutorial tells me to do. It tells me you should start Qt Creator. I'm starting Qt Creator. You know, it tells me you should create this file with this CMake file. I'm going to create it. Paste this class. I'm going to write this class with my own fingers. I'm not going to copy paste. This way, if I write everything by hand, I'm not using the mouse to copy paste from a tutorial from the doc to the left hand side where I have work, where I reproduce the tutorial. This way I can do the tutorial, so I can learn the tutorial. So I'm not just looking at the tutorial, you know. If I want to entertainment, I could put my tutorial on a TV and sit back in my bed and look at that. But that's not interactive, that's just entertainment. I want to actually learn what the tutorial does. For that, I need to use the keyboard a lot and write all of the examples, test all of the examples, compile all of the examples, run all of the examples, make sure that whatever the tutorial did, I also could accomplish locally on my machine. Okay. Let's shut down this machine. Okay. Does the virtual machine run? No. Okay, so I say that you should also learn non-KDE applications. So you should learn how to use Qt Creator. There's a ton of YouTube videos on this. You should get to know Firefox if you're just a Google Chrome guy. You should know how to use MC, Midnight Commander, the command line Orthodox File Manager, Meld, which is the best, in my opinion, diff viewer for Linux, qBittorrent for torrents, OBS Studio. You should record YouTube videos such as I do, using a simple headset with mic, and OBS Studio running on your hardware machine that runs a Linux distribution. SM Player and MPV, especially the command lines and how to hide the Chrome, the main menu, the toolbars, etc. YTDLP to download the YouTube videos, Virtual Machine Manager, because we're on Linux, this is built in. This is, in my opinion, snappier than VirtualBox. So VirtualBox VMs are slower for me than Virtual Machine Manager or QEMU or KVM virtual machines. Maybe your experience is different. I use Visual Studio Code for grepping, so for searching in source code, and GCC for compiling. And I say, do get familiar with orthodox file managers, such as MC, Midnight Commander, and what I use, which is Crusader. Okay, in Windows, that would be Total Commander. Okay, so where are we now? We're still reading the Getting Involved development page. We're watching some YouTube videos. So the first one that comes across is this. If you're a visual learner, you might consider watching the video version at this thing. Okay, so Nicolas Venerandis, KDE development, setting up the environment. This talks of more things than just this wiki page, because this wiki page doesn't tell you that you need to create 20 user accounts, for instance. Okay. Also shows you how to do a merge request, etc. So it shows more of the flow than what's presented in this wiki page and its children wiki pages. Okay. So then you will have to decide what hardware do you allocate for programming for KDE. So I would suggest a desktop computer or all-in-one. Anything is better than a laptop. Why? Because laptops will throttle because they get too hot. You will not have enough battery to run it without AC power. So even if you're using a laptop, you're using it connected to the mains, to AC power. And laptop CPUs are the HQ, some version of CPU that's specially crippled for laptops in order to generate less heat. Why don't you use the full-fat CPUs, ones for desktop, which are not throttled and undervolted and underclocked, such that they survive and then they don't make the laptops catch fire. Use a desktop. That's what developers do, right? That's what all of the developers did 15 years ago. Every programmer had a desktop computer. Nowadays, all of them have laptops, which KDE being 400 C++ Git repositories, you will need to build them at least once during the 2 hours that you're working per week. You don't want to waste all of the 2 hours just waiting for some builds to finish. You want a snappy machine, a fast one. Okay? So once you have your hardware machine ready, you will need to have one which is kind of dedicated for contributing to KDE. Because maybe you don't normally use Linux, so this hardware machine will have to have Linux installed. If you install it in dual boot mode, maybe you will not have enough hard disk space. So I suggest a dedicated machine that's Kubuntu 2204 hardware machine with good enough hardware and also a good enough internet connection. A good enough internet connection is not an easy thing to get in many parts of the world, such as the South Asia. Okay. You also don't want to have a mobile data plan, because you are going to git clone a ton of Git repositories that will require a ton of network bandwidth. So you want an unlimited internet plan. You don't want to pay for each gigabyte you use. Okay, so the best bet is a internet from an internet service provider, and even more, maybe you don't want to use the Wi-Fi, you want to use an Ethernet cable from your ISP, right? There's all sorts of problems when you use Wi-Fi. The connections will drop a ton. You will not have the same speed as using an Ethernet cable, so you're going to just invest 2 hours per week. You're going to lose most of those hours just waiting for downloads to finish. So go for Ethernet if you can. Okay, so once you have your machine, you should install again Kubuntu 22.04 on that machine. So I have a video for that, which is the Kubuntu 22.04 VM. So you're not setting up a VM, you're setting up a hardware machine. Okay. Then it says that you should make sure that kdesrc-build with no parameters works correctly on that machine. So most of this wiki page is about how to set up kdesrc-build. So we use a framework, an application which is called kdesrc-build, which allows you to build all of the 400 KDE Git repositories from source and even from Git master branch. Okay, so we have video versions. You should use this for Kubuntu. If you want to use other Linux distributions, your best bets are KDE Neon, Arch Linux and its derivatives, OpenSUSE Tumbleweed, the latest Fedora KDE Spin release, and these are for the adventurers. So don't start with FreeBSD. I would recommend you start with one of these, and even you start with the first one. Okay. So this is the text version of the tutorial. I have the video version of the tutorial. So the video version says, well, I can't find it. How can't I not find the video in here? This thing, Kubuntu 22.04. So you're now setting up KDSRC on Kubuntu 22.04. So the steps are as written in here. So you go sudo apt install git cmake dialog. You did create your Gmail account, right? No, you did not. Well, this is the place where we talk about accounts. So you will need a ton of, 20 website accounts in order to program for the KDE community. So where are you? It's this part. So pick up a username that contains your first name, your most important first name. So I went for nmariusp. It contains my most important first name, which is Marius, right? Everybody will know I'm Marius when they look at my username. And should contain all sorts of initials in here, such that this string is unique and there's available accounts in Gmail, in GitHub, in GitLab, in identity.kd.org, in bugs.kd.org, etc. So everywhere, this, if possible, this user account should be available. Okay. So indeed, nmariusp was available everywhere. for me, except Gmail. So in Gmail, I put a 1 at the end of the username. So it's nmariusp1 at gmail.com. But everywhere else is just nmariusp. Really easy for everybody to see who I am. If they know that Marius P is me, then when they will see my entries in bugs.kd.org, they will know who was. When they will see my actions in the KDE matrix, they will know who is this guy. Or in the GitLab KDE instance, which is invent.kd.org, or in the wikis, or in github.com, right? So the very first thing I did was create my email account. So I went for gmail.com, which is I suggest you do, because there's Google Docs, YouTube, etc. in there. And then the next step was identity.kd.org. So if you have this email account, you immediately can perform these steps. Okay, because when you configure Git globally, you'll say username, your name, which should be your most important first name, space, something, I know, initials or your full family name or something. And then in here, you put your Gmail email account, so nmariusp1 at gmail.com. Okay, I'll get back to the rest of the accounts that you need. But now we have configured Git globally. We can continue. So it says the email address must be the same as the email address used in bugs.kd.org. Okay, so we need to stop again and create the rest of the accounts. So identity.kd.org. Okay, this thing. So it requires a username and a password. So as username, I picked nmariusp. And well, I need to create my register, this thing. Okay. So KDE code of conduct, I accept, continue registration. And I want that most of my accounts use this string, nmariusp, not this email address. Okay. So when it asks for a user account, for username, etc., I use this, nmariusp. When it says to which email address should I send emails, such as the reset password email, nmariusp1 at gmail.com. So once I have identity.kd.org, I can go to invent.kd.org. So it says KDE identity username, your password. So the same password that you use in identity.kd.org is also used in invent.kd.org. Sign in. Okay. So people know me as nmariusp, which is what I want. I don't want nmariusp1. Okay, or nmariusp1 at gmail.com. nmariusp, it's that thing. Okay. Then I want to edit the wikis. All of the wiki pages that I read, I proofread them in the sense that I read each and every letter. I don't skip letters when I read things. And whatever I find not good enough, I'm going to edit the web page and fix that issue. Okay. So there's 3 wikis in the KDE community. The most used by you will be the community wiki, and the other 2, I'm not sure what to make of them. So you want the community wiki, so you go there, and you want to log in. So you log in, or you create an account, or what's the thing, and should be the same. So nmariusp in my case. Okay. So these are my contributions. Okay. What else? Invent.kde.org is the Git repositories. bugs.kde.org. Okay. I'm not sure what it needs when you log into this thing, because it keeps me logged in forever. So it requires a email address and a password. So do use the same nmariusp1, in my case, at gmail.com email address everywhere. So use that email address everywhere when you contribute for KDE and for free and open source projects in general. So you should have an email account dedicated to contributing to free and open source software. So that could be, I don't know, if your name is Danny MBR, then it should be Danny MBR _ FOSS or _free, or if that account is available in Gmail, nothing, just Danny MBR. Okay, MBR being some initials from the other first names and last names. Okay, and Danny being your preferred first name. Okay, so you will have an email account that's dedicated to you working on KDE on free and open source projects. You're not putting your main email address in here. You're not putting your spam email address in here. You have created a Gmail account just for the purposes of contributing to open source projects. Okay. And what else remains? GitHub.com. Why? Because while you want to improve something in, in kcalc, you will see that the problem is in fact in kdesrc-build, which is an open source project which lives in GitHub. So you'll need to fix that issue in kdesrc-build, right? So this being the project, the only way to contribute to projects is to have a GitHub account. So you will need a GitHub account, and my GitHub account is named the same, nmariusp, uses the same email address, nmariusp1@gmail.com. Okay, you will have contributions in GitHub guaranteed if you're trying to improve the KDE Git repositories. And the other one is the metrics. So for the metrics, you go to KDE wiki matrix. Okay, takes you to this page and says that KDE is officially using metrics for collaboration within the community. I'm not sure what this tries to say. So the KDE community in fact uses IRC for many things, metrics for less things, and other technologies for even less things. So those being Telegram for a number of KDE teams, and even a Jabber XMPP server. Okay, but metrics is the thing you should start with. Okay. So it says clients, you can chat using your browser by visiting the KDE web chat. So yes, that's what you should do. That's why I suggest you do this thing. Okay. And you should, I don't know what you should. I don't know how I created my @kde.org account. So registration has been disabled on this home server, so you can't register an such as I did, and mariusp at kd.org matrix account. So you'll probably need to create an at matrix.org account. Let's see what people do. So Verma is using matrix.org. Okay. So you do create an account in there. So again, if possible, and mariusp, right? Colon matrix.org. I don't know how to do that. You'll have to research that thing. And then this is how the KDE matrix looks like. There's a thing which is called the KDE community space. It looks like this. You should be joined to the KDE community space. Okay. Where else should you be joined? Into KDE new contributors, which is called #kd-welcome kd.org. KDE development, so #kd-devel kd.org. KDE chat, so #chat kd.org. And do get in touch with me, so do talk with me. I want to help you getting started programming for KDE. Okay. What else? Where were we? So we're still in the getting started page. Close multiple tabs, close other tabs. Okay, we're still in this page. On this page. So you watched this video. You should watch the Kubuntu 2204 video. You should do the Kubuntu 2204 video. So again, download it using a YTDLP. Run it in your right hand side of the screen with MPV or SM player and do whatever I say in there. Okay. So you've configured Git. You have a box.kd.org account. You're using the same email address everywhere, even in box.kd.org and in your user email. The one that's the email which is at gmail.com. Then you need to run these lines. Make this thing, and this thing. So if you see, I'm copying these three lines. Copy. I'm opening a new console where I go Ctrl-Shift-V and then I press enter. Okay. Look in my YouTube tutorials, you'll see that's the way I do it. Then you run this command line in console, in the KDE terminal app. Then you're going to run this. Then you're going to inspect your configuration file. So this thing, open it, for instance, with Kate. So you could do it like this. Kate, Ctrl-Shift-V, and don't forget to put an and sign, so an ampersand. Okay, and look at the configuration file and see if you like it. Okay, so these are defaults, these are defaults, this is default, this I have changed, this I have changed, these two I have changed, default, this I have changed, this I have changed, and these two are defaults. So the defaults are really great, use those for a while, but then when you're done, when kdesrc-build works correctly and you can build all of the 400 KDE Git repositories, the very first things that you need to do is make sure that the DC make build type is not rel with debinfo but debug, because you want to run the executables and libraries in the debugger. At the very start, make sure that num cores is a huge number. So the number of CPU cores, mine is 16, so I want to use all of these 16 cores. Okay, this you will change from time to time. If you want, if you have many KDE Git repositories that do not build, put this on true, such that you can, the kdesrc build will fail, and you will fix the issue. You will run again, it will fail in another KDE Git repository, fix that, etc., etc. Okay, directory layout, invent, I can't survive in any other directory layout. Invent means that in this directory where Git clones of the 400 Git repositories exist, there's not 400 subdirectories in ~kd/src, there's just, I don't know, 100. So this invent setting makes sure that this directory doesn't have a huge number of subdirectories. Okay. Okay, so now you like what's in the kdesrc-build.rc file. You have run source. The next thing to do is echo path to make sure that this directory is in your path, the first thing. Ctrl+Shift+T creates a new tab, Ctrl+Shift+V, enter. So tilde/kd/src/kdesrc-build is the very first thing in path, really important. That's why we run source. If you don't want to run source, you could just restart your computer. It will. So you run this only once while you're setting up kdesrc-build. Once you restart the computer, you will not need to run this thing anymore. You will not need to run this thing anymore. You will not need to run this thing anymore. So these are just for the initial setup. These 6 lines. Okay. If possible, I vote that use bash as the command line shell, not zsh, not the z shell or tch or something. Tc shell. Okay. So kdesrc is the framework that you're going to use a lot. So you will need to learn as much as possible about, at least about the command line of kdesrc-build command line. This thing. Okay. I can show you what is the minimum requirement kdesrc-build command line knowledge. So let's do that. Okay, so I ran with kdesrc-build, which is the name of the executable, which is in path because it's in this directory. So I can just run it without any relative or full path, just the file name. And then I go --help. I maximize console. And from time to time, I use this command line, no-src, which means don't git clone, don't git reset hard. No minus include dependencies to build just the last module, not all of these dependencies. Resume from. So if I want to build 20 Git repositories and it fails at the 10th, I say don't rebuild from scratch the first 9 because those work. So I say resume from equals and the name of the first KDE kdesrc-build module that refused to build, so failed to build. Okay. What else? --debug. So if I go kdesrc-build, it will try to build all of the 400 Git repositories. It says in here 424 Git repositories will be built. So the steps are find out what's the dependency between Git repositories, so it knows that extra CMake modules Git repository is required by the K internationalization Git repository, so it will not build the K internationalization Git repository first and then the extra CMake modules Git repository, so it builds in the correct order. This is a dependency of this, so it builds extra CMake modules first. Okay. Maybe K-core add-ons using K internationalization, most certainly. That's why K-core add-ons is built after K internationalization. K internationalization certainly needs ECM extra CMake modules, so that's why it's built after extra CMake modules. Okay, and for each, so it creates a tree of KDE Git repositories, so it knows in which order to build them, and then for each and every one of the Git repository, it does Git things, so git clone, git fetch, git rebase, git stash, git reset hard. Okay, this line, these 3 lines. Then it does the configuring step, which is CMake. Then it does the compiling step, which is make. And then the last one is the installing step, which is make install. So decide the dependencies between Git repositories, do Git things, configure with CMake, then using GNU make, you run make, which compiles everything, and make install, which installs everything into ~kd/usr. Okay. So this was me running kdesrc-build, no parameters, so I want to build all of the 400 Git repositories, and I want that the standard output contains very few lines. So I want it to be brief, not verbose. If I want it to be verbose, I go like this. Debug. So this is, there's no verboser level than ---- debug. This is the verbosest level. And it's really important because, for instance, it says all of the command lines that are started by kdesrc-build. So in this case, it says git fetch ---- origin. Okay, and it's multi-threaded, so it does git clones in some threads and it does builds in other threads. Okay, that's why it says from time to time it says git status, and then it continues with make. So make in here builds KWidgets add-ons or something, and then it does git things on a totally different thread on a different CPU core, and then it continues with make, and then it goes back to the git output and then back to the make. Okay, so it's more threads. ---- debug is mandatory when something doesn't work. So let's say that one KDE repository fails to build, such as K-core add-ons, then you would go something like this. Okay, it's going to build all of the modules, all of the 3 modules, so extra CMake modules, K internationalizations, and K-core add-ons. It builds 3 modules. But what if I wanted to build just the last one, K-core add-ons? I go ---- no include dependencies, and now it will build just one module, K-core add-ons. Okay, so this is the make step, this with %. Okay, did not run at all the configure step because it was already configured correctly. So this is a problem. We want to, sometimes we want to run the entire all of the steps for that Git repositories. So we want configure, CMake, make, and make install. For that, one of the possibilities is you go into the build directory. So there's a separate directory where CMake runs and where the C++ compiler runs and where compiler builder compiler artifacts get generated, which is called the ~kd/build directory. So for KDE add-ons, for K-core add-ons, that's frameworks, and K-core add-ons. So I delete this directory, shift delete. I don't put this directory into the garbage bin. Why would I? I just delete it with no possibility of restoring it. Okay. So now configure will need to be run again because there's no intermediate cmake files. Make will need to be run again because there's no intermediate build artifacts, and make install, we'll see about make install. Okay, let's go Control L to clean up, and then this thing. So kdesrc-build. Where are you? K-core add-ons, -- no include dependencies. So first it does git things, then where is this thing? It does git things, and then it still git things, git reset hard, git checkout master, a ton of git things, and then it says running cmake target Unix makefile. So this is the configure step. So it says cmake -b dot -s, the src directory -g Unix makefiles, and cmake install prefix ~kd/usr with these environment variables. So in fact it sets these environment variables first, and then it runs this command line. Okay, the standard output of this command line cmake is this: C compiler GNU, CXX compiler GNU, etc. It says that the following features have been enabled, optional packages have been found, required packages have been found. We disabled QCH API documentation, and it did not find the optional package FAM, file alteration notification. Provides additional support for NFS. I don't use NFS, the network file system. Okay, and then it says make files have been written to ~kd/build/framework/K-core add-ons. Those configuration files being, where are you? This huge make file. So 120 kilobytes of file with 1 million make targets. Okay. Then it does make, which is set this environment variable and run gmake -j16 in this directory. So in fact it does cd this directory to change to this directory, sets this environment variable, so export ld library path equals that, export cmake library, cmake prefix path equals that, export blah blah, and then gmake -j16. This is the output with %. Okay, everything has built correctly, no errors, it gets to 100%, and then it stops. It doesn't do make install. If you want it to do make install, then you will need to use the refresh parameter. This one, refresh build. Make really pay attention to using refresh build, because this is it can make it such that you recompile from scratch 400 Git repositories, which is something you don't want. So kdesrc-build is really careful to not rebuild the same unmodified C++ translation unit, so the same CPB file twice. So it builds it once, and then the next time you run it, it will build just the modified CPP files. So it doesn't do rebuild, it does build in Visual Studio terms. kdesrc-build does build, not rebuild, which is really good for developers. If you want to rebuild, then you will need to use refresh build, you will need to use no include dependencies, you will need to delete this directory, the build directory. So ask around if you don't manage to run a rebuild instead of a build. Okay. Setting up Qt. You should not start by setting up Qt. So you should ignore this part. Disable indexing for your development environment. Good thing, do it. Download non-KDE dependencies. Okay, so there's 400 KDE Git repositories, and this will require, in my case, for Kubuntu 22.04, 10,000 -dev packages. So what is a -dev package? It's this thing. The package -l to list. Okay, and I say grep -dev. I don't know how to grep. Okay, so it's dev packages. The Ubuntu packages have the extension deb packages. And this is the name of such a deb package. If it ends in -dev, then this package is not normally needed when you use your Linux operating system. It's for compiling software. So it contains C header files. C++ include header files. Okay. Package config files, CMake files. So things needed in order to build software using a C or C++ compiler. So this is what we do. We install all of the needed software libraries, dependencies using deb packages, including Qt and all of the things that depend on Qt. The only things that we don't take from deb packages is KDE Git repositories. So all of the KDE source code resides in invent.kdE.org, in those KDE Git repositories. We will take those. We prefer what's in invent.kdE.org. But for whatever is below KDE, so Qt libraries, Qt libraries that use Qt but don't use KDE, and other libraries below them, such as XCB, X libraries, Mesa, GL libraries, compression libraries, image format libraries, audio video libraries, etc. All of those we take from the from our Linux distribution, so Kubuntu in my case. So again, all of the KDE things we take using git clone from invent.kdE.org. All of the non-KDE things from debs. Okay, and since by default no -dev package is installed, and there's 10 of thousands of those, you will need to install 10,000 -dev.deb packages in order to be able to compile all of the 400 KDE Git repositories. Okay, so this is what this chapter talks about. When you go kdesrc-build initial setup, which you already did at this step, it installs 400, I don't know how many deb packages, but those are not enough. You need 1,000 more, and then 1,000 more extra deb packages. So the way to do it, you read this page, and it says that for KDE Neon Debian Ubuntu, you should opt build deb and the package you want to build. So if I want to build Kaidan, I'm going to go apt space build minus deb space KDE. If I want to build kcalc, I'm going apt space build minus deb space kcalc. So the name of the source package. The name of the, generally the name of the KDE Git repository. So Clementine or CMark or Cool Retro Term or Baloo, or okay. So there's an example, apt space build minus deb dolphin. So this will install 1000 minus dev.deb packages which are needed in order to build dolphin. Okay, how do you make build deb work? Well, that's you run this command line, sed -i debsrc etc apt sources list sudo apt update. So this command line really does work. I've tested it, and the end result is the following. So let's look at the most important file in Ubuntu, which is /etc/apt/sources.list. By default, it has all of these lines with deb space 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And all of these deb minus src space lines are commented out with a hash mark. Okay. This is the way the file looks originally. So all of the deb minus src lines are commented out. So your task is either to edit this file. I don't know how you edit this file because you're not root, and only root can edit this file. And uncomment, so delete all of the hash marks that are in front of deb minus src. Okay. Or trust this command line, run it, it's going to work. And then open with your text editor sources.list file and make sure all of the deb minus src's lines have been decommented. Okay. And it says apt update, really important because you're enabling all of the deb src lines, enable additional repositories from Ubuntu. So you'll need to download the metadata from those repositories, the metadata being things like what packages are available in that repository, what's the dependency between packages. Okay, so your steps would be this line, and then apt build deb and the name of the KDE Git repository that you want to build. So you will run this line, you will try to run kdesrc-build without any parameters again. It will fail on another product, on another KDE Git repository. You go apt build -deb, the name of that KDE Git repository. You go kdesrc-build with no parameters again. It will fail. It will successfully build that KDE Git repository that could not build the previous time, and now it will fail in another place, at another KDE Git repository. You go apt build deb, the name of the new Git repository that doesn't build, run kdesrc-build again, etc., etc. Okay, so this is how you make one KDE Git repository build. You try again, you will fix the next KDE Git repository, the next KDE Git repository, etc. until all of the 400 KDE Git repositories manage to build correctly on your machine. That's what you want. You want kdesrc-build without any parameters to build all of the KDE Git repositories correctly today, correctly tomorrow, correctly another day. If everything built correctly today but doesn't build correctly the next week, maybe that's a problem and you should investigate why all of a sudden this KDE Git repository fails to build when it built correctly last week. Maybe a new dependency was added, but it was not specified in the metadata or something. You need to do a git merge request to fix the issue. Okay. Building software with kdesrc-build. So again, kdesrc-build builds everything, which is what you want. If you want just one application, go kdesrc-build and then the name of the application. So kcalc for the KDE calculator, Dolphin for the default file manager, etc. Once you've built software and want to run that software, so this example is for Dolphin. So it goes kdesrc-build Dolphin. So this will build 100 Git repositories. Ctrl-Shift-V, Enter. So it will build 51 Git repositories. Most of them are from what's called KDE Frameworks 5. So the GitLab group frameworks. And then when it finishes building all of the needed KDE frameworks, it's going to build one application, which is Dolphin. Dolphin is not a KDE framework, it's an application. Frameworks being libraries. If you want to run Dolphin, a simple way to do it is kdesrc-run Dolphin. This will set a number of environment variables, and then it will call Dolphin. The most important command environment variable being the path environment variable. Okay, so again, you need hardware. You don't want to wait forever for 51 Git repositories to git clone, to configure, make install. You want speed. You're a C++ developer. C++ developers need hardware. That's the way it is. Okay. If you don't want to use kdesrc-run, you can do this dance. So source, space, and then the prefix file that's inside the Dolphin directory, that's inside of ~/kd/build. So this directory you would delete if you want to do a rebuild of Dolphin. And inside of this directory in top level is a file called prefix.sh, and that you need to source, being you're using bash as the command line shell. So go source prefix.sh. This will set in the existing bash session a number of environment variables, such that when you start Dolphin, it will know where to find its SO files, so its libraries. It will know where to find its icons. It will know where to find its KIO plugins and everything. So this is set via environment variables, the search paths. Okay. For when you start, don't go into things which require other things at runtime, such as KIO or KDE settings. Also, don't go with building the entire Plasma desktop and booting into it. This is not a task for your first months developing for KDE. To have in SDDM, the desktop manager, another instance which is called Plasma X11 for developers. You don't want that in the first months of working for the KDE project. I didn't build or run the Plasma mobile apps and desktop yet, and I started working in April, and now it's October, so you can survive without Plasma mobile for a while. And iterating on a single project, so it does kdesrc-build, no src, so no git actions, no include dependencies, doesn't build 40 git repositories, just one, and then the name of the git repository to build. Okay, that's resume from. I told you about resume from. Refresh build, be really careful with refresh build, because that will delete the debug, the build directory for all of the 40 git repositories that you're building, and that will take a while. So you will do a rebuild of the module that you put as parameter to kdesrc-build and all of its dependencies. So it's going to take an hour. So don't do refresh build without no include dependencies. Okay. And then it says choose what to do. So you now have kdesrc-build running. You can build all of the KDE Git repositories using kdesrc-build. What else can you do? Right? So a thing to do is to start the executables that you have just built and make sure that they run correctly. Maybe they just crash. Maybe that's a build that you need to fix. Or you open the application and you proofread the application and you decide that it uses English UK instead of English US. So you ask around, how do we translate this application from English UK to English US? English US is the language of KDE projects, and that's the thing that we should use in wikis and by default in applications if we don't specify another translation. So some applications are translated into English Canadian, some applications are translated into English UK, but by default, if you don't specify any translation, the strings to use and to be displayed to the user via graphical user interface should be all in English US. Okay. There's a junior jobs list, which is in fact a bugs.kde.org, so a Bugzilla report. Okay, so it's filtered the list of bugs which contains the keyword junior-jobs. Okay, Ctrl-Shift-T. Where am I? Then other Bugzilla filter. And then this list, easy tasks, specifies 16 things that you could more or less easily do. So for instance, one of the wiki pages that you have read, in order to get this far, why don't you proofread it? Like read every single letter. Choose what to do. No, that you make sure that it's spell checked, it uses the correct English tenses, it's valid English, make sure it's understandable by you. Maybe you read all of this chapter, you did what it says, and the explanation is not good enough. Maybe it contains parts which are not needed anymore because kdesrc-build meanwhile doesn't need this workaround which is documented here. Let's delete this workaround, or let's mark this workaround as not needed anymore since version X of kdesrc-build. So this page, community.kde.org/get involved, is really important, is an entry point. You have seen that from kde.org I have clicked on the main menu, get involved, it took me there. It's very active wiki pages, read many times per day by different people. So it's important to keep them up to date and as simplified as possible. So everybody should understand better and better each and every day what's written in the get involved wiki pages. Okay. For instance, you can spell check an entire page. You do go Ctrl-A, Ctrl-C, and you use a spell checker. For instance, there's one in Google Docs. You create a Google Doc, you Ctrl-Shift-V there, and run the tool to spell and check. It will say how many problems of grammar, spelling, etc. exist in there. Or you could use your desktop Office suite, such as LibreOffice or Microsoft Word. Again, paste there and run the spell checker. If you have some problems, you find something that can be improved, do edit the wiki page and improve the thing. Okay? So for instance, in here it says proposed changed to make instead of proposed changes to make. And even this is wrong because KDE's quality assurance team tests pre-release software and proposes changes to make sure. So this should not be D, should be S. Let's edit the wiki page. Yes, we have found a problem in the wiki page. Let's edit it. Good idea. So we go to the wrong chapter, edit. So you should be logged in with your account that you just created for the KDE Community Wiki. And let's read again. So KDE's quality assurance team tests pre-release software and proposes changes to make sure that everything works properly. So all of this thing is bullshit because everything works properly doesn't mean anything. Proposes changes to make sure everything works properly doesn't mean anything. Tests pre-release software. Everybody tests pre-release software because we build with kdesrc from the master branch. KDE's quality assurance team. Does such a team exist? So, yeah. So it's not your job to delete things which are not that that you think are not that truthful, but at least to fix the grammar spelling issues and save changes. Okay. What else can we do? So make sure that the KDE Git repositories keep building. So if it built this week, it should build the next week. We can spell check the GUI strings. So the GUI strings appear in file called n and then po. I can show you this thing. So we're in tilde/kde/src. I start Visual Studio Code in there to search. And then I say search view. So view, search, Ctrl-Shift-F. And then let's use the right-hand side as documentation, the left-hand side as work. And it says there's files and this is a globe. So it contains a question mark or an asterisk and refers to many files. So says file to include this. And there's an MSGID thing. Let's see how these files look like. So there's a comment, there's a MSGID and a MSGSTR. So STR is the translated string and message ID is the string in English. So let's find all of the strings in English, for instance. We go MSGID, Ctrl V. Okay. It has found 1000 possibilities. So in order to run to see all of these results, you either click a million times or you go F4. F4, 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 F4. Maybe you find a MSGID that's not valid English. Why? Because these are the strings that are shown on the GUI when you don't use any translation. So when you use English US by default. Maybe there's something wrong in here. Let's look. This will write songs, ratings, and statistics into files, tags for all your library songs. Libraries songs. Wow. It uses the simple quote a ton of times in here. And it's a long sentence. What if we use Grammarly for these things? That will do. That will do such a that will suggest some improvements, right? So F4 to go to the next search result. Okay. So this has found all of the English US translations, all of the English Canada translations, and all of the English UK GB Great Britain translations. So maybe you want to look just at NGB things. So you can go like that. Let's go GB. So we still have 1000 occurrences. Okay, you can collapse a file. So NGB is not the correct. Oh. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong in here. I'm messing something up. Maybe these are not KDE style translations. Okay. This is an example of a thing that I have learned recently, that in the cmakelist.txt file, so all of the KDE Git repositories, let's look at one. So K-core add-ons, this thing has in the, so this is the directory where we git cloned the K-core add-ons KDE Git repository. This is a top level directory. In here there's the usual .gitignore file. Most most Git repositories have such a .gitignore file, and in this case there's also a readme file. And for the KDE Git repositories there should be a cmakelist.txt file in the top level directory. So let's look at that. So as per this URL, the file should start with cmake minimum required. Could have some comments before cmake minimum required, but other than comments and empty lines such as these, the very first source code line should be cmake minimum required something. So if it's not, then fix the issue. How do you know if it's not? You use Visual Studio Code again. Okay. And you search in what's the name of the file? cmakelist.txt. Control C, search, Control V. And we search for cmake minimum required to make sure it's the very first non-comment, non-empty line in all of the files. So F4, yes, 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 no. Okay, this is a problem. This is a bug. You need to fix the bug. Where are you going to fix the bug? In Clementine. Clementine is not a KDE Git repository. It's hosted in GitHub, so you'll need a GitHub account. You're going to fork the Git repository, create a Git commit, Git pull request, and then wait. Okay, ignore the third-party directories. Okay, so there's many third-party libraries, so third-party Google Breakpad, third-party lib my GPO Qt5, etc. So if the file comes from a directory which is called third-party or something similar, you should ignore for now whatever is in that directory. Okay. What else? F4, 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 F4. So there's comments and empty lines. This is legal. Okay. This is a bug. KDE Edu data should come after CMake minimum required. Empty new line, which is okay. Which is not okay. Why would there be an empty line? Just like that. This should be a git commit. So you delete this line and you create a git commit and you let's do this. So we're deleting this empty line. Why should a file start with an empty line? Okay, Control S. And now let's fix this issue. So first of all, where are we now? Let's copy the path of the file. So right click on the tab, copy path. Let's prepare a new Kate. Control V. So it's in tilde/kd/src/education/kig. KIG. Let's open the Orthodox file manager. So KDE src education KIG. Okay, so this is a Git repository. In here it was git cloned a Git repository. How do we know that? Because if we go git GUI, it shows something instead of saying this is not a valid Git repository. Okay, if we go git status, again it says there that this is indeed a Git repository and the current branch is master, and the local master branch is identical to the branch master on the remote, which is called origin. Okay, so who did clone in here a Git repository? Where it was kdesrc-build. How did it do that? For that, that's git remote -v. This shows us the remotes. So we did git clone and then this URL, https://invent.kde.org/education/kig.git. Okay, copy this thing. Control V, and let's find this KDE Git repository. Control TV. Okay, so I'm logged in with my user. This is https://invent.kde.org/education/kig. And the first thing that I want to do, so this all is documented in here, where it says the chapter, where are you? Submit a merge request. So it says KDE uses GitLab, which GitLab is 3 things. So GitLab is a company which is called, where are you? GitLab Inc. It's a website which is called gitlab.com. This thing, which is similar to github.com, GitLab from laboratory, GitHub from a place where things converge. Okay, and the third thing is a software package that uses Ruby on Rails that you can that you can download and run on your computer. So this software package is used by organizations such as GNOME, KDE, freedesktop.org to have their own what's called on-premise or not in the cloud Git repositories, Git Forge, as it were. Okay, so their own GitHub, as it were. So some of these are GitLab GNOME, this thing for the GNOME project, GitHub freedesktop.org. Where are you? Where are you? GitLab. Whoa, GitLab. Okay, gitlab.freedesktop.org. And then for KDE, we have KDE invent. invent.kde.org again. The GitLab source code tar gzips were downloaded and installed by the KDE team that handles websites for the KDE organization, has installed this instance of GitLab, and the URL is https://invent.kde.org. Okay. And then it says, where are you? Learn how to submit a merge request with GitLab. So you need an account, that's the identity.kde.org. Then you need a second account, which is invent.kde.org. Then once you have built correctly a project, as I did, I built using kdesrc-build KIG. Let's do that. So 50 Git repositories to build. Again, it doesn't do rebuild, it does build, only what's changed is shown in here. Why doesn't it look? So those were Git errors because my network internet connection is flaky because I'm on Wi-Fi instead of being on Ethernet connection. So I need to rerun those same command lines more than once in order for Git to fetch the Git repositories and changes the Git commits that are newer in the remote in invent.kde.org than what's in the existing local Git clone. Okay, so after we build successfully, the first thing to do is fork the project. So I'm on the canonical website, the Git repository of this project, KG. I go fork, and it says I should select in here my name, so nothing else to change, and then in here I should put public, so I put public and then fork the project. Okay, so at this point in time there's 3 different Git repositories for KIG. There's the local one, which is on my hard disk, which is this. This is, let's call it, I don't know, local. Then there's this, which is the remote called origin, a second Git repository. And then there's a third one, which is my Git repository on GitHub. So invent.kde.org/nmariuspid, my username, and then /KIG. And that, for that I use, so this is called a remote fork. And for that I use this special, where are you? URL, which is the clone with SSH URL. Okay, so I click on the clone blue button, clone with SSH, and click to copy URL. Control V. Okay, so 3 Git repositories. I have my change in here, but I didn't do a Git commit yet. After I do a Git commit, I'll need to create a branch. Then I push the branch here, Then I say, hey, you guys from the origin, please use my branch from here to improve this Git repository. Okay. So I should do git remote add fork and then the URL that I copied into the directory tilde/kdesrc, the project name. So I'm in that directory in here. I went git remote -v to see that only this remote is connected to my local git clone. So now I need to also add connect this remote to my git clone. So I do that as it says in there. Git remote add, which is a verb, fork, which is a name. We always use the name fork. And then this URL, which allows me to write. So URLs of type SSH allow writing. URLs of type HTTPS only allow getting. So you can only get from invent.kd.org if you use HTTPS. If you use SSH, you can get from invent.kd.org, but you can also write towards invent.kd.org. Okay, Ctrl-Shift-V. And now we run git remote -v again to see the remotes. So we have two remotes, origin HTTPS, this is read-only, and the other remote, which is called fork, which uses git protocol, which means we can read-write. Important. Okay. The next step is to open Git GUI. In order to have Git GUI available, I'm running sudo apt install git k and git GUI. This command line. I want three things: the git command line things, git k, which is a GUI application for the git history, and git GUI, which is a git application for the rest of the operation. So for fetch, commit, reset hard, branch, push, pull, etc. For the other operations, to do them in a graphical user interface manner. And history is git-k. Okay, so now we start git GUI with an ampersand at the end and look at the local git repository. So again, we have three git repositories: the remote fork, which is this, the remote origin, which is this. Where are you? This is the remote origin, and this is the local git repository. Three different git repositories. Will need to sync between those. Okay, so let's look at the history. Visualize all branch history. We need to make sure that we have the latest git commits from origin master. For that, the simplest thing to do is to just run kdesrc-build space the name of the project. So that will git clone the most important git repository of that project, which is origin master. Okay, the very first thing that it does after it builds all of the dependency modules, when it starts building actually KIG, not its dependencies, the very first thing it does, it makes sure that all of the git commits that exist in invent.kd.org/education/KIG also exist in your local git clone. Okay, so again, these first three lines: fetching, merging, no changes. Okay, so kdesrc-build space KIG has finished successfully. That means that we git fetched from the most important git repository from origin. And now we can look at the history. So this action from the KDE GUI main menu repository and then visualize or branch history actually starts the application, the GUI application git-k. Okay, and it says that on the remote origin master, this is the last git commit. On my local repository, there's a local master branch which points to the same git commit. And now we will need to do what it says in the documentation. So it says git remote -v should show fork twice and origin twice, https and git. Okay, I do that. And then it says we should create a branch and do a commit. And branches should start with work/my username. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to do it in a GUI way, graphical user interface way. This is how to do it in the command line. So from bash, go git check out my not my awesome feature. We'll need to edit this thing. How do we do it? Control TV. Okay, so in here it doesn't say the preferred name of branches. Okay. Submitting a merge request. Where are you? Okay, so we need to edit this chapter and say that the preferred name of patches of git branches is work my username slash what was it before? My awesome feature. Great text. Okay, this is okay. If you have commit access and are pushing a branch directly to origin, remember to first push to end. Wow. I don't know if this is true. Okay. Make sure to replace with your username in the command above. My username with your username in the command above if you have commit access and up. Let's make a second note on that. Okay, and recommended branch name. Show preview. Okay, so I have make a branch and commit. Now that you have your fork set up, it's time to create a branch to track your work and make a commit. Git checkout -b work /my username /my awesome feature. Rest is unchanged. A new note, make sure to replace my username with your username in the command above. I keep this unchanged because I don't know what it does. Maybe put a missing dot. And then I say recommended naming for branch. I go save changes. If I refresh this page, now it says my username, my awesome feature. Okay. I do most of my web browsing in a Firefox incognito mode. And I only use the non-incognito mode, non-private browsing window for my accounts. So in here I'm logged with my account, in here with my account, here my account. If I'm logged with my account, I'm using a non-private window. Otherwise, I'm using a private window. Okay. So we should have such a branch. I'm not going to use the git command line to create it, but I'm going to use the git GUI option. Okay, so I have orange, which is unstaged changes, green, which is stage changes, and then there's committed changes, which is the git commits history. Okay, right now it's in unstaged. I'm going to move it into staged, into green, and then I'm going to do a git commit. So just one line has been deleted. I agree, so I click on the icon. Then I want to prepare a git commit message. For that, I right click on the name of the file, I go copy, Ctrl V to paste, and I say remove leading empty line. I don't know of a better commit message than this one, so I always have my commit messages like where, which is the name of a file or a directory, and then what. So where and what. For good commit messages, you should read this chapter, and there's okay, so there's web pages that tell you how to create a correct, good, state-of-the-art git commit message. So 50 characters or less, then 72 characters or less for the body. So this is the title, empty new line, and then a body. The body is wider, 72 characters. The title is shorter, 50 characters. And I use a convention, then before putting the actual summary, I put the where. So I put where, like, I don't know, cmakelist.txt, space, and then some text. Okay, and it tells you what tense to use. So you should not say that you fixed an issue because you don't really know if you really fixed an issue. You say fix issue, blah, blah. Okay, so where were we? We're preparing to do a commit. We have the file selected, staged. We have the git commit message. We like the git diff, and we go commit. Let's look at the history. So it says that I've committed on the local git repository's master branch, which is wrong. I should not commit here. I should commit in my branch, this thing. So I go right click, create new branch, paste, and instead of my username, I put my username. This thing. And then I don't know. Let's go with this. So work / nmariusp. So work recommended / username / something. Create. And now I'm on the wrong branch. The current branch is bold, so master with bold fonts. I need to make this with bold fonts. So work /n-p /leading empty line, right click, check out. So now I'm on this branch, not on this, not on this. So I'm on the local work /n-p /leading empty line. I need to put this branch into the remote fork. Okay, so that's done. I go rescan in Git GUI. It says that my current branch is work /n-p /leading empty line, and I go remote, push, and I select the remote fork, not the remote origin. So in this combo box, I select fork. The correct branch is already selected, which is the current branch. If pushing fails, I can always go force overwrite existing branch, because I have all of the read-write rights on my fork. Okay, so I go push. Okay, so we don't write here in the remote origin, we write here in the remote fork. And it tells me that I can create a merge request. It gives me some boilerplate code, which I'm going to ignore. I go close, I see success, green, close. And now I'm navigating to this web page. Okay, and it says that I have pushed the branch work /n-p /leading empty line in this Git repository, which is the remote fork, and I can ask the people that have write access to invent.kde.org/education/kgit if they please want to take my branch containing just one git commit and put it into remote origin. So in fact, it just takes one git commit from the branch work /n-p /leading empty line into the top of the master branch of the remote origin. So I go create merge request. This thing, git push fork my awesome feature. This can be done at the command line, but I did it using the Git GUI tools. So I go in Git GUI main menu, remote, push, and I select the remote fork. So this action, if I click the push button, is equivalent to this action. I'll need to edit the wiki again. So I'm going to paste this to do. Okay. Now we're creating a new merge request. So it says that in KIG, I'm creating a new merge request from my fork to the canonical Git repository of this KDE Git repo, which is education/KIG branch master. The text of the merge request is the same as the title of the merge request is the same as the title of the only git commit that I have in here. So it's just one git commit. No body, no description, no body in the git commit message, no description in the merge request. Okay, then I make sure that the changes tab only contains one line change, which is one line deleted. Then I make sure I keep all of the defaults in here. So squash commits unchecked, delete source branch checked, and allow commits from members who can merge the target branch checked. This is really important, always to be checked. The checkbox contribution allow commits from members who can merge to the target branch. And this is because this branch will become obsolete as new commits are made to this branch. So this branch will need to be rebased on top of this branch in order for the merge request to be accepted. So it's not our action, we don't do it. The maintainers of this branch actually take the newest git commits from here and put them in here, and then put your git commit at the top, and then they write from this branch to this branch. So we stop our actions when we click the create merge request button. So again, we did a review in here when we did a code review. Very careful when we did a git commit. We did a review very carefully when we created the merge request. Once we have created a merge request, there's not much that we can do. The only thing that will require our attention is from time to time we read our email address, and if there's problems with this merge request, if the maintainers of master branch say that something needs to be updated, improved, or changed or something, we will receive here in the merge request page some messages, but we will also receive an email in our inbox in Gmail. Okay, so from time to time we just read the inbox in Gmail and we'll know if the git commit was approved or merged or closed, or there's threads that we need to respond to. Okay, so this is how the Git repository looks like in GitLab invent.kdE.org/education/KIG. We can see that there's 2 merge requests open, 11 merged, 1 closed, 14 in total. So closed means we don't need it anymore. Merged means it was okay and we've written the needed git commits from this branch to our origin remote master branch. And open means that we didn't yet decide if we should take these git commits and put it in our origin master branch or not yet. Okay. And there's possibly some automation, some pipeline is GitLab CI is starting after you do a git commit. Okay. What else? So we submitted a merge request. In order to communicate with the team, I said that you should be joined to the KDE development matrix channel, to the KDE chat matrix channel, and to the KDE new contributors matrix channel, and also send me a private message. Okay. What else? These 3 matrix channels also exist in Libera Chat IRC. So there's synchronization both ways, from matrix to the IRC channel and from the IRC channel to the matrix channel. Okay, then there's other things. There's the KDE Devel mailing list, which if you want to ask a question that will require more thought of responses, such that I know you want to make a drastic change in a Git repository and you're going to ask, hey, I do want to make this change which seems too intrusive to me. Should I go ahead or not? For that, maybe the best channel to go is KDE Devel. So you write an email to kd-devel@kd.org, and you will receive your answers, and maybe you will be redirected to another emailing list, such as the mailing list for that Git repository that you wanted to change. But this is the most official way to get feedback from as many of the KDE contributors as possible. So again, if you want to suggest, I know, such as I suggested, that we don't translate the human names of the contributors. So in here, in help about Kate, there's an authors page, and Christoph Kuhlmann name is translated and transliterated, for instance, in Belarusian Cyrillic, which is, why would you do that? The Belarusian people know how to read Latin, the Latin alphabet, such as the English one. Why would you want them to, to read something else? Why would you replace his name with Cyrillic characters? But I have sent such an email to the mailing list, and there was one vote against. The other people didn't exactly know how to vote, so we kept the status quo, which is if the translator team, such as, I don't know, for the Bengali language or something, want to transliterate the names of the humans from here, from the author's tab, to their native alphabet, they have the freedom to choose if they keep it like this or transliterate it into some other alphabet. Okay, but again, this was a political decision that needed to be made, and for important, wide-reaching political decisions, the mailing list is the place to ask. Okay, if you want to look at all of the source code at once, my solution is, again, I build all of the kdesrc-build, all of the KDE Git repositories at once. So I go kdesrc-build, no parameters, and then I open with Visual Studio Code the directory ~kd/src, and then I can search in there. I don't know, Q message box. Let's go. Q message box. So I can see that QMessageBox is from the Qt framework, is a header file, an include file, and is also the name of a C++ class, and is also a container of an enums. So C++ enums, not C++ class enums. So there's QMessageBox information, QMessageBox answer, QMessageBox accept role. Then there's static methods such as QMessageBox : critical. Okay. Another way to do it is to use lxr.kd.org, which is where? This thing. So Q message box. Let's see how the results look like. So definitions for QMessageBox, references to QMessageBox. Which one should we prefer? The left-hand side, so lxr.kd.org, opening a web browser, or Visual Studio Code and then search, the search view. I don't know. Visual Studio Code allows me to go F4. In here I need to go right click, open a new tab a million times. Visual Studio Code also shows me a preview of the affected line. Okay, if we want to search in just these paths, so only for K-stars, how do we search? So when I write something in files to include, it seems that it searches in the path. So the path of this file is tilde/kd/src/education/k-star/auxiliary/ks messagebox.cpp. So if I go files to include and I write k-stars, it filters all of the paths, so just the files whose full path contains k-stars, which is correct. So it says on Sky Painter line 18. How do I get to this thing? And what's the sort order? So in here it says it's defined. Sky Painter. There's no such thing as Sky Painter. I'm not sure how up to date is this lxr.kd.org. So education k-stars src education k-stars k-stars and then in here should be a Sky Painter. Yes, there is skypainter.cpp. Okay, so then searching should be Sky Painter if this is part of the path. If you want files, then you can go like this. So we put a globe in here. No. So skypainter.h. Class message box. The two Sky Painters don't. Sky Q Painter. Whoa. Okay, so the name of the file was Sky Q Painter, and a glob such as asterisk, which means any character in the file name, so nothing in our case, then sky, S-K-Y, and then any character, which is asterisk, any number of times, and then dot, which is the separator, and then any extension, which means asterisk, will find this file. So Q message box, what to search for, files include asterisk, sky, asterisk, dot, asterisk, so a glob. This is called the glob. Okay, it has found once class Q message box, which is a forward declaration. Okay, so lxr.kd.org is great. Visual Studio Code search is great. And we also have the searches in krunner, so Alt F2, we go kdE.kmessagebooks. It searches on the internet on api.kde.org for the KDE API function identifier method class kmessagebooks. And it's in here, it's defined in kwidget add-ons, has some enums, has a static method about, okay, and the same thing for Qt symbols, so symbols from the Qt framework. So that's Alt F2, Qt colon space, the name of an identifier. Okay, so Alt F2 means krunner, which is a KDE Git repository, KDE application, knows how to translate from this syntax, Qt colon equals, to this syntax, which is https://doc.qt.io/qt6/search results ? Q equal. Okay. This is an advanced topic, Microsoft Windows. This is an advanced topic, Microsoft, Apple macOS. Creating a KDE developer account is an advanced topic. Go to develop kde.org and do the tutorials in there. Okay. Do learn how to use your IDE. So for me, the IDE is Qt Creator. There's a YouTube video in here. There's text instructions in here. So Qt Creator you can install from the packages from Ubuntu in my case, or you can download it from the official KDE website, the official Qt website, which is qt.io. Qt Creator 9. Okay, it says Qt Creator 9 beta was released. And then you read in here how you can download the Qt Creator for Linux, and you follow the instructions. So it's a GUI installer. It requires that you have an account created with qt.io. So you should create such an account. Qt account portal, login.qt.io. You go at the open source Qt download page under pre-releases. Where are you? Qt Creator. Other down, no, pre-releases, like this. 901. Qt Creator open source, this thing, the run file. Qt Creator open source Linux x86-64 9 beta 1 run. So you download this file, you run it. So you need to make it executable, then you double click on it. I can show you how to do that. So you save the file locally. Then you will go to the file in your file manager. This thing, and then you go right click on it, properties, permissions, and is executable and is okay. So right click, properties, permissions, is executable, okay. And then you will be able to double click on it, or you can run it from the command line. So // and then the name of the download. There's tab auto-completion in the terminal with tab. You write the start of the file name and then you press tab. Okay. What else? So once you have your KDE src-build, be able to build anything, you went through the easy tasks. You know how to configure your IDE so Qt Create, you know how to debug, how to step into, how to go to definition, how to run, how to configure. There's also the learn page. So you should do two things when you're working for the KDE community. One, deliver. So you're going to do merge requests, you're going to do KDE wiki page edits. So those are your outcomes and your outputs. That's the one of the things you need to do. And in parallel to that, you need to improve your skills to sharpen your axe. Okay, so you need to improve as a C programmer, as a C++ programmer, as a Qt programmer, as a KDE programmer, as a user of the Linux console, as a user of the KDE applications, as a user of Git. Okay. So you should take it in this order. First, make sure that you're okay with C, then C++, then Qt widgets, then Qt QML, then KDE frameworks, CMake, Unix command line, etc. Okay. So let's see what more easy tasks do we have. So spell check strings and wiki pages. Make sure all of the modules keep building with kdesrc-build. There's a similar technology which is called kdcraft. Make sure that KDE Git repositories continue building with kdcraft. In more platforms than just Linux and FreeBSD. So kdcraft also supports Apple, Mac OS, and Windows. Run the executables to make sure that the GUI is okay, that the strings on the GUI are okay, that the applications don't crash. Run them in an analyzer such as Valgrind to make sure that there are no memory leaks. In wiki pages, make sure that when you click on something, so if you click in here, something happens, right? And it navigates to a page that still exists. It doesn't say 404 file does not page does not exist. Okay. What else? There's tools that can detect issues in the source code, such as clang format, KDE clazy, CPP check, PVS Studio, clang tidy, clang D, clang++, G++. So if you find, again, there's 400 Git repositories. If one of these tools finds around 10 issues per repository, that's 4,000 issues. Maybe one of those issues is really simple to fix. Do a git commit with that. So fix just one issue in just one Git repository on maybe just one source code line. Do one git commit, do one merge request with that, and this is the way we can do many merge requests within just 2 hours of hard work per week, each week for years, by fixing compiler and analyze these issues. Okay, so the git clone directory should remain clean after you build. So that's it. Thank you.